Reassurance from Ryanair at least that they are going to continue to keep the routes open despite all the uncertainties about international travel, the 14-day self-isolation when passengers come home. Big decisions on discontinuing routes will not be made until the end of October, and indeed a few have been added.
No, I wouldn't like to cast any doubt over people like going on their holidays, like, in terms of cancellations or anything like that. We're not going to be cancelling a Malaga flight because in one direction it is, at 30% or something like that.
Ryanair, for instance, very innovative, putting on like that a flight to Santorini. That was such a buzz last week. It gave everybody in the industry a huge lift. TUI
have also stepped up their programme to Greece. It'll start the second week of August. Lots more to sell, but the uncertainty about the green list continues.
I think it's increased the frustration of both agents and indeed the travelling public. I don't buy this notion that people are confused because, to be fair to the government, I think the advice has been quite explicit.
There's only 4 countries on the green list that we can really essentially travel to, and that is Cyprus, Malta, Italy and Greece.
The message is clear. If you go to any of the green list countries, you don't have to quarantine when you come back. Where I suppose the confusion arises is because they go on, they follow that with the addendum of, but of course we prefer you not to travel.
If our government separated out the islands from mainland Europe, which I believe the Spanish Tourist Board is lobbying for, I think that would make a huge difference.
We have 2 colleagues who've just recently returned from the Canaries. They went out on the fact-finding, and it was very good, it was very revealing, it was very informative. The one thing that they said was it would be inadvisable to send families out there at the moment because a lot of the facilities for kids haven't opened up.
A lot of the focus in recent days has been on shifting the metrics to regions. That would mean a lot for the Canary Islands and in particular Lanzarote, which is 800 kilometres further away from Madrid than Dublin is.
The glaring anomaly that the infection rates in the Canaries are so low.
Because the kids are going back to school in a few weeks' time, and the schools want people or want children, school-going children, to self-isolate for 2 weeks if they have been on a foreign holiday. Really, people can only go this weekend. This is the last chance solution.
Problem for those in the travel trade is that Spain and Portugal, the key destinations, are moving further out. They're among a group of countries that are very far over the European Centre for Disease Control metric of 20 cases over the last 14 days per 100,000.
It's relevant for us as travel agents because of the legalities surrounding it. So I would be very reluctant to sell a country that isn't on the green list.
Ireland's is just over 5, and we saw, for instance, Malta move over Ireland.
And with a bit of luck, on the 10th of August, our list, our green list, will increase for us and for our customers.
But the warning is there that it will be revised very suddenly, and even those who are abroad could find themselves in a situation where, not having to quarantine before they left, they now have to quarantine when they arrive back. The ambiguity about insurance has been cleared up.
It would have major implications for me as a package organiser if the customers don't have insurance and it can't be insured. So I think corporate companies are waiting for a better green list, preferably one that doesn't, well, whether it includes Greenland or not isn't actually relevant.
The countries on the green list were moved down from all but essential travel right down to normal precautions apply. That's level 3 back down to level 1.
Very difficult as a licensed and bonded travel organiser or tour operator or indeed retail travel agent to take on that responsibility. There's an awful lot of exposure for us.
Travel agents need to consider now, with the summer written off and very little business to be done until next April, what strategies and supports they need.
With all of the PR that the government have put around not travelling, people are afraid at this point in time. I think if we are to look, to new business, we've got to start looking at the back end of this year, and we really have to start looking at 2021.
It seems really unfair that the government on the one side are saying, please don't travel, but on the other hand are saying, well, the airline can get to keep your money. That doesn't seem fair to me.
They're doing nothing in terms of the flights operating, and to some extent that's understandable because we have cargo and we live in a democracy.
You think about it, we're actually subsidising the airlines because they have this money, they've had it since last October or longer, whatever, and they're saving money on fuel if the clients aren't turning up.
We're in a bit of a limbo, so we're still trying to get on top of refunds and credit notes for customers, and trying to get the money from suppliers who are obviously overwhelmed by all of this.
It's car crash stuff. It's, they can't have it. They can't have it every way. If they don't want people to travel, they're going to have to compensate them.
Support will also be needed from the suppliers, many of them international, many of them based outside of Ireland, and really wondering what is going on with the green list.
On the supplier side, in the destinations, they're being quite good, sending them screenshots of the Department of Foreign Affairs advice. We've sent them radio interviews and clips from various things, because what we've got to do is educate them to understand that Ireland seems to be in a standalone position in Europe with regard to preventing citizens travelling for 2020.
And the fact that the British government reversed their Spanish list on Sunday morning has sent them into a spin, and it isn't now, Ireland is unique.
It's very hard for those suppliers to understand what's going on, but it's not as if we are short of evidence to support what we're trying to tell them, and for the most part they are being respectful and understanding, because if we can't, or if the consumers feel they can't travel, we need to cancel those bookings and refund those clients. We can't have non-refundable terms and conditions applying to those bookings.
As the debate is drawn into areas like shaming the people who travel and raising the question, should people be doing any international travel at all?
One of the problems that we have is that we are a very critical nation. I think that an awful lot of Irish people feel judged by their neighbours. An awful lot of people are travelling incognito because there's such a backlash. Very few people sharing on social media that they're going on holiday.
Following a couple of polls that have appeared, in various other mediums, the prevailing sentiment amongst consumers, at least 75% of them, seems to be that they don't want to travel. They have no intention of travelling anytime soon.
From the very beginning, our position in Travelwrap has been that keeping connections open and keeping the borders open is the key to coming through this crisis. It is also very, very important in our recovery and very important in keeping the economy open, including the economy that funds the health service on which we are all going to depend for some time to come.
Need us as an industry, like the business and corporate travel piece is critically linked to jobs and business in Ireland. That's being totally ignored.
I don't know of any other industry that is left hanging out to dry as much as we are. There's very, very few who are exposed the way we are.
What does the World Health Organization think about closing and reopening borders? Mike Ryan from County Sligo was asked that at the press conference in Geneva.
Travel measures should be used in conjunction with other measures. By themselves, travel measures are not effective. Continuing to keep international borders sealed is not necessarily a sustainable strategy for the world's economy, for the world's poor, or for anybody else. So we really do have to make progress on beginning to do that, but do it in a way that is least risky. And we're working very closely with member states on that. We're working with the travel industry and others.
My name is Eoghan Corry. Travelwrap was commissioned by the Irish Travel Agents Association. The views here are my own.
It is difficult to get those travel measures absolutely right. You can open up and then have to shut down, and then open up and have to shut down. And some people say, well, better to stay shut because that's more consistent. But it's also not making any progress.